Hola y buenos días o buenas tardes, año 7. Welcome to lesson 2 of week 2 of our topic, ¿Qué hora es? What time is it? Empezamos. So, por favor, write the title, escribir el título en español, subrayar con una regla. También escribir la fecha, the date, en español y subrayar con una regla. Whilst you're doing that, I will remind you of the lesson aims for this week. We're looking at how to understanding how to give time and learning the present tense of ir, meaning to go. We'll apply the vocabulary learned by writing, and we'll do that in our next lesson. As also will we evaluate and set targets on how we can improve further. Okay, empezamos entonces. So your starter task, escribe la hora. I'd like you to write down the time. So there's 8 different times there. Some are written in words, some are in numbers. Please write, so the words you can write just in numbers, and the number times I would like you to write in letters. Well, that's quite a mouthful. Hopefully that makes sense to you. So there is also an extension task. How do you say it is midday and it is midnight? And this is all recapping our learning from the last lesson. So if you can do it from memory, wonderful. If you can't, look back in your book at all your notes so that to help you do this task. So if you pause this video for about 3 to 4 minutes whilst you complete that. Excelente, muy bien, continuamos. Let's have a look at how you got on. So these are your answers. So son las 8:30, 8:30. Es la 1:15, 1:15. Son las 9:10, it's 9:10. Son las 2:30, it's 2:30. And then we've got our times there, 3:10, son las 3:10. 4:05, son las 4:05. 11:30, son las 11:30. And 2:15, son las 2:15. So please give yourself a score out of 8 for that. Use a red pen ideally to mark or a different colour. Sorry, I should have said that before. Most of you are in the habit of doing that. And your extension was es mediodía and es medianoche. So it's midday and it's midnight. Muy bien. So let's look at our activities for today's class. We're going to look at a little bit more vocabulary to describe what time it is. We'll practice that with the writing. We'll then have another grammar point talking about at a time. That will be obvious when we do it. We'll practice that with a reading comprehension, and then we'll end with a plenary. Continuamos. So, ¿qué hora es? What time is it? So far we've looked at times, but obviously 9 o'clock could be 9 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock in the evening. So now we want to just qualify by adding what part of the day we're talking about when we give the time. So for example, we've got here, son las 9 de la mañana. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. Son las 2 de la tarde. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Son las 9 de la noche. It's 9 o'clock at night time. Y son las 2 de la madrugada. So this is the translation of madrugada. It's like the wee small hours. So I would kind of give it a time frame of between maybe midnight and 3 o'clock in the morning. It's those wee small hours when everyone should be fast asleep. Okay, so we've got 4 new words there: de la mañana, de la tarde, de la noche, and de la madrugada. Okay, so pause this video and practice saying all of that. Muy bien, excelente. Continuamos. So let's have a little bit of practice. ¿Qué hora es? What time is it? You can see our little icon person up there. So this is a good opportunity for you to repeat after me and practice your pronunciation. So we have son las 9:05 de la mañana. So it's 9:05 in the morning. Repite, por favor. Excelente. So this time, ¿qué hora es? What time is it? This time we have son las 9:15 de la noche. ¿Tu turno? Muy bien. That's 9:15 at night time. ¿Qué hora es? Son las 2:30 de la tarde. ¿Tu turno? Muy bien. That's 2:30 in the afternoon. ¿Qué hora es? Son las 2:45 de la madrugada. Tu turno? Muy bien. And that's 1:45 in the very early hours of the morning. That's another way we might say it, the very early hours of the morning. Okay, so that's so I've introduced to you now a little bit more vocabulary about how to talk about the part of the day that we're talking about. So let's practice that now with a writing. So vamos a practicar. ¿Qué hora es? You can see there are 6 clocks, and I've written down afternoon, morning, night and mixed them up. I would like you to write down the times that it says on the clock and include what part of the day it is. So for example, son las 3:10 de la tarde. It's 3:10 in the afternoon. So there is also an extension task there. This is quite an interesting one. I would like you to look up, if you can, how you say on the dot, or sometimes we say on the nose. For example, if someone asks the time, we might say it's 10 o'clock on the dot, or it's dead on 10. That expression, how would you say that in Spanish? Have a look at it and see online and see if you can find the answer to that. But to do the writing task, I'd like you to pause this video, and you'll probably need about 5 minutes to complete that task. Muy bien. Let's have a look at how you got on with that one. So your answers are: son las 4:10 de la tarde, son las 7:25 de la mañana, son las 8:10 de la noche, son las 3:05 de la tarde, son las 9:20 de la noche, son las 11:25 de la mañana. Give yourself a score out of 6 for that. As I said, this is recapping everything that we did in our last lesson, but building upon it, okay, by adding on this new vocabulary. Excelente. And for those of you who are able to have a look, so if you're talking about on the dot, on the nose, or dead on 10, however you say that on the hour, in Spanish you say en punto. So for example, you would say a las 10 en punto. Okay, continuamos. I would now like you to practice to ensure that we have really good pronunciation. You've heard me model exactly how you say all of that. I'd like you to pause this video and just practice saying them, okay? Don't worry about making mistakes. That's how you improve. So just pause this video and just give the best attempt you can at pronouncing these. If you're stuck, go back to in this video, listen to how I said it, and then you can copy me. Okay, give yourself a couple of minutes to do that. Muy bien. So moving on, so let's look at grammar rules to say at a time. So far we've been saying it is 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 2:30, 2:45, etc. But now I'd like to move on and look at how we say things at a time. So in English, for example, if we're making arrangements or talking about a time, we say at 3:30, for example. In Spanish, the equivalent of that is a las, and then the time 3:30 in this instance. The only exception for that is when we're talking about 1 o'clock. If we were saying at 1 o'clock, we would say a la una. So it's singular. We don't have the las, it's singular, it's la. A la una de la madrugada or a la una de la tarde, for example. So pause this video whilst you write down that grammar point. Give yourself a couple of minutes to do that. Muy bien. And now let's practice all of that with a reading comprehension. So vamos a leer. We're going to read. I would like you to read the following message that Paula sends to Roberto about what time she does things, and then answer the questions. So there's 6 questions there in English. You can answer them in English as well. After reading that text and digesting it and understanding it as you go. There's an extension task also. What does después, también, and finalmente mean? So pause this video and give yourself about 4 to 5 minutes to complete that task. Muy bien, excelente. Let's see how you got on. So, what does Paula say about what time does she study Spanish? And she studies it at 8:30. So in the text it says estudio español a las 8:30. So question number 2, what time does she eat? The answer to that is 10:15 or 10:15. We know that because in the text it says como una manzana a las 10:15. Question number 3, does she eat a banana? No, she doesn't. She eats an apple. We've said that already. Como una manzana. So question number 4, what time does she watch television? The answer to that is 20 to 5. She says, veo la tele a las 5 menos 20 de la tarde. So we know that's the afternoon. What time does she listen to music? At 4:55. Bit of a tricky time here. So she says in the text, escucho música a las 5 menos 5, at 5 to 5, or 4:55. Final question, what does she do at 7 at night? She goes out with friends, and we know that because it says, finalmente salgo con mis amigos a las 7 de la noche. Okay, so this is drawing upon lots of the language that you learnt last week in our lessons about things we do in our free time. And your extension, beg your pardon, give yourself a mark out of 6 for that. And then for those of you who went on to do the extension, well done for that. Después means then, también means also, and finalmente means finally. Okay, so well done. We're nearly at the end of the class, lots to cover as always. So your plenary, I would like you to write down when and at what times you study Spanish for your 3 lessons in the week. So this is extending yourself even a little bit further using some of the frequency expressions and also some of the things that we've learned before. Estudio, I study. So I've given you an example there, one of which is los lunes estudio español a las 9 de la mañana. So on Mondays, I study Spanish at 9 o'clock in the morning. This is quite complicated, but this is a big build on everything that you've done over the last week and a bit, and also recalling some of the things that you did at the end of last term. Okay, so write that down. Your teacher will be really interested to mark that because it's going to be individual to you for your class. So please pause the video to do that and write down what you have learned in today's lesson. Excelente, muy bien. Great work in that lesson, Year 7, lots and lots to cover. So well done for that, and I look forward to seeing you in your next lesson. Gracias y adiós.